In this tutorial, we're going to be talking about adding music to your project. And the key things I want to teach you are, one, where can you find free music or high quality but inexpensive music for your projects? And then next, how do we add it to a project? And specifically, how do we shorten a song? A lot of times our video isn't going to be the perfect length matching up with a song, so we're going to have to cut it shorter, and I'll show you some tricks on how to do that. So we get a sequence that looks something like this, where here down below you see actually Goodbye Summer, this is a song we chose, and Secret Conversations. We're using both of these songs for our project. So first, where do we find free music? One place is the YouTube audio library. If you sign into your YouTube account, which you'll have to sign up for, and then go to the Creator Studio, and then down under Create, there's this audio library where you can search through and find all kinds of free music. You can search by genre, mood, instrument, duration, also attribution. Some of these songs you can use for free on whatever project. Other times you have to give credit to the actual author by crediting them in your video, or at least in the description of your video wherever you upload it. Another place that I like is audiojungle.net. This has a bunch of good music that is relatively inexpensive. $10 to $20 seems to be the range for most songs. And they have a lot more higher quality and different music than you can find for free. So those are my two resources that I go to when I'm trying to find music, which, although is not one of my favorite parts of video editing, it is something that I find myself doing often as the video editor for projects. So let's get back to Premiere Pro. And I'm just going to actually move this music that I already added over to the side so I can start from scratch. The thing about music is that it can really add a lot to your video. Audio is so important, and music can make a scene seem more exciting, more happy, more sad, more dramatic, more suspenseful. So music is an important part of video creation. You don't necessarily always want to have music. It's sometimes good to actually not have music to make a point stand out. If someone's saying something very important, just let them talk without music. But for a short documentary, having nice music throughout is a good idea, and changing up music also makes it even better. So in this little piece, even though it's only a minute long, we're going to have a transition from a happier song to more of a sadder, dramatic song, because there is a tone shift in what Anthony is talking about. I've included some music that you imported probably already. These are songs from the YouTube library, so feel free to use them in whatever project you want. I'm going to start with the Goodbye Summer track. So I'm just double clicking it to open it up in my source monitor. Then I'm going to play with the timeline up here, go to the very beginning, set my in point, start playing it, or just go forward just a little bit, and then set my out point. And all I'm doing is just taking a little bit of it so I can then bring it down onto my actual timeline. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to drag it down to my timeline. One thing that I already did before this lesson was I went to my audio track mixer and I changed the level of track 3 and track 4 to -20. When you add music to your project, look at your audio track mixer, play through it, and see the decibel level that the voice and the music is bouncing around. You see the voice over here bouncing around -6, -10, -15, and then the audio for the music is bouncing around -24, -25. In general, you want the music to be 10 to 15 decibels lower than the vocal or the voice of the interview, so that the voice isn't drowned out by the music. So adjust accordingly. And I did that for both track 3 and 4 so that I can add 2 songs and have them sort of fade into each other. So we have this song, and if we play through it and listen to it on our track, we'll see that it actually adds a lot to this interview.
The same year I was diagnosed, that summer the whole ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
It's happy, it's exciting. Anthony's talking about something that is exciting, the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Ugly, that doesn't.
So he's happy this whole time, and then it kind of switches his tone when he gets to this point when he talks about
To me meant that I wasn't alone. For a disease that literally will take away my voice.
So when he talks about for a disease that will literally take away my voice, that's when it takes a dramatic shift. And that's where we want to transition into another song. And we're going to do that with the Secret Conversation song. But first, we need to end this Goodbye Summer song. And we could just fade it out. That's something that we could do. We can just bring it in to this point on the timeline, add a default transition, and fade it out. Or we can try to end it with the end of the song. Sometimes songs have a nice ending where it sounds different. It's more of a closure to the end of the song. So we might want to use the end of this song. So what I'm going to do is take my razor blade tool, pressing C on my keyboard, just make a cut right around here. It doesn't really matter where it is right now. Then I'm pressing Y on my keyboard to bring up the slip tool, and I'm going to click this clip, the second part of the music, and drag to the left all the way until the end of the song. And you can see from the waveforms that this is the end of the song.
For a disease that literally will.
Then we have to find a place where these can match up. Thankfully, this song is relatively repetitive, so we just have to find a beat where the song will look good or sound good meeting up. I'm going to solo track 3 and track 4. Just going to make the video even smaller so I have more room for the audio timeline. And actually right now I'm going to put this second part of the song on track 4. So solo 4 and 3, and then extend this part of the song over this first part. Now we have our two music clips kind of overlapping. We want this second part to end right about here. So let's hear what Anthony is saying.
To me meant that I wasn't alone.
So it can fade out when he says I wasn't alone, right about there. And then we're just going to tweak it. So we're going to zoom in here and see where the beats of the song are. And you can see it just from the spikes on the waveform. So in this top one, we see a beat here, here, here. And on the second part, we see beats here, here, here. So I'm guessing that if we match up one of these beats, something like this, where there's a beat there, it might sound good. And to test it out, I would just play it with these two overlapping. It's a little bit off. I see as I zoom out that actually there's beats here, 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 here. So that's what I'm going to line up. So I'm just selecting this second part of the music clip, pressing Command and right and left arrows on my keyboard to nudge it to the left or right. And now I can play through it. It's pretty good. Maybe nudge one frame to the right. That sounds really good. So now we just have to cut this first clip probably right about here, and the second clip right about there, and just drop this second part on top of the first part, delete this part, and now if we play through it, we need a little bit of a transition, so just right click, apply default transition. That sounds pretty darn good. And especially when we have the vocals on it or the interview.
Because it's ugly, that doesn't go viral, but as soon as somebody does something random and fun, it goes viral. And so that's what I did first.
That sounds great. And now it just fades out.
Meant that I was
exactly where we want it to fade out. Then we can just quickly take the Secret Conversation song, and I'm just going to take the last part of the song. So I'm just going to go on the timeline up here towards the end, set an endpoint, drag it down here to track 4. You can see with this song, it does have more of a dramatic fade out right here. So with the waveform, it goes, and then right around this point, it fades out. So I'm going to put this point right at the end of my audio, right about there. And then it kind of fades out with just a couple guitar beats at the end. So with my razor blade tool, I'm going to cut that last part, apply that default transition. Just fade it out at the end, then extend it right about there to meet up with this audio, and just have a nice fade in with the default transition.
Meant that I wasn't alone. For a disease that literally will take away my voice. For a demographic.
And this song seems to be a little bit louder, and you can tell by the waveform it's a lot bigger than this one over here. So we're going to actually go to the audio track mixer and drop this one down to maybe -25 dB.
Million.
So just play through it one more time.
It was just insane. The biggest thing to me meant that I wasn't alone. For a disease that literally will.
And I think that sounds good. The transition of the music definitely amplifies the emotions that we're getting in the film itself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about adding or editing music to your own project, let me know. But for now, your action item is to choose one of these songs or find another song on the YouTube library, or if you do want to purchase a song on Audio Jungle, you can. But find some music that you think makes your video better, add it, edit it to your film, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next lessons.